Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about what's going on in the market and what we saw last week with CPI data. I also want to say thank you everyone for being patient with me as I'm moving into this new house and I didn't have time to post a video last week or for Monday, but we're going to keep trying to post videos twice a week here on this channel, so stay tuned for that. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first things first, let's go ahead and talk about what we're seeing in the market over the last 2 weeks. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen the NASDAQ go down pretty consistently. Though about 2 weeks ago, we did see a small uptake, but that didn't last long. As of yesterday, though, market conditions started to look bright as people started to look at CPI data from last week, the Fed minutes, and started to really consider what's going on with the dollar. So we already talked about what happened with the United States dollar versus the British pound, but I want to talk about what's going on in the Fed minutes and also what we saw in the CPI data. So let's talk about those. Last week, the Federal Reserve presented their minutes that they talked about in their last FOMC meeting. And that gives us a lot of detail on what they're trying to do in the future and what they were talking about. Number one, what they pointed out was a 0.75% increase did happen, and they plan to continue to do that until they see some different metrics in the market change. Number one, they want to see inflation go down. We know this, we've talked about this. Number two, they want to see maybe unemployment a little higher. And number three, they really want to get this economy slowing down a bit. Yeah, we're in a recession due to recent indicators such as GDP decline in the last 2 quarters. But they're not happy with that. And that's because the CPI report came out really bad compared to what most people thought it was going to be. One thing the Fed didn't talk about though was one of their monetary policies, and that is unemployment. Now that's why I said in the last little bit here that it's a maybe. They haven't really said what's going to happen. Now, what I think is going to happen, and again, this is my opinion, so bear with me for this a little bit. I think what's going to happen is inflation is going to continue to go up. They're going to continue to raise rates. It's going to be too much for the market. It's going to be too hard for companies to continue to grow with such high interest rates. It's going to cause a small recession, maybe a large one. And we're going to have this problem where inflation is going to continue to go up. That's going to cause these high rates, but the Fed can't do anything about it as unemployment starts to increase. And that's going to make them have a really tough decision. Are they going to work on stopping inflation, or are they going to decide to go ahead and cut unemployment and try to get a lower unemployment number? In my opinion, they're going to keep working on this inflation problem. I think they think that's a bigger issue that's more detrimental to a lot more people, but we'll see what they decide. Okay guys, now we're going to talk about some facts again, and that is the CPI data that came out last week. Well, it wasn't a great report, but I guess it really could have been worse. We saw 8.2% increase year over year compared to 8.3% last month. And some of you might be sitting here thinking, wow, that's really great. Yeah, I really want inflation to go down. This is great, but let's put some brakes on here and let's look at more of the numbers until you form your own decision. So here comes that bad news that I was talking about. Core inflation, which takes out food and fuel prices, was up 6.6%. That's really high. It's actually the highest since 1982. Darn, that is not good for us. Another thing to look at is what happened with month over month prices and where we saw that. We saw a 0.4% increase generally overall, but core prices were up 0.6% month over month. This can't continue. We can't keep doing this. It's too hard on low-income families, and even the middle class is starting to really feel this inflation pinch. So let's dig into this a little bit more. What does this mean for you? What does this mean for me? And what does this mean for everyday Americans? Well, I think this just shows that inflation's not going away anytime soon. It's really been tough on us, and I know it's a really bleak period, but we've got to stick through this. I don't know what else to say other than the Fed's doing all that they possibly can. If Congress could get their act together and maybe help us out a little bit, that'd be great. But I don't think we're going to see any relief from them anytime soon. So where is this inflation coming from now? It's been so long and it's starting to get a consistent theme. What is going on? Well, when I do my research and look up what economists are saying, I'm seeing that they're saying it's because of wage increases. Now, let me explain to you what's going on there, and I'll try to keep it short. What's happening is this inflation started, so people were wanting their wages increased. Yes, some of them got them, but a lot of them were changing jobs. Because of those two things, that created wage increases. And when people had more money, they were able to spend more, but that became a supply and demand issue where the demand was so high and there was no supply, prices started to go crazy. But now what's happening is we have this consistent cycle of prices, wages, prices, wages, prices, wages, and they just keep going over top of each other. And that's part of the reason why this inflation just is not letting up and why it will not stop soon. So I just said this won't stop soon. And why is this, and why can't we get it to stop now? Well, that's because the Federal Reserve is doing what it can, but it's not a quick and easy process. They're raising rates, they're continuing to do quantitative tightening, and that's going to work eventually. I think it's going to work at least as good, if not better, than what they think. And when I say better, I don't necessarily mean better for us in the economy. I mean better for inflation and, maybe better for their right now goals. But in all honesty, as wages continue to go up, prices are going to continue to go up, and I don't see this letting up. But stay tuned, and I'll keep giving you updates on what I think is going on and what I think is going to happen. Guys, be sure to leave in the comments below what you think the Federal Reserve is doing to really help this inflation, and if you think they're doing enough. Also, make sure you leave in the comments below what you think is going on with Congress and if they could help this price inflation, because I think they could. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.